What is going on? Very exciting day. Part 2 of I-6. Okay, before we get, hold on. Headroom's terrible. It's a little more better. There we go. All right, so before we get started and before we roll into the intro and get going on this part 2, just gonna do a shameless plug. First of all, SKRE gear. This is the time of year to be buying your camouflage. So if you guys are in the market for new camo and you want to check out SKRE, the link is in the description below. It's just SKRE gear, SKRE gear.com. Get 20% off using coupon code CALM, C-A-L-M. That'll be on your first purchase, 20% off right off the top. Check them out, the gear's awesome. We're gonna be running it all fall. Dad, me, Kendall, everybody else. SKRE geared right up. And then we got a pile of new shirts. If you guys haven't checked them out in a while, go to our Teespring account. Again, links down below in the description. Check it out. We got fishing stuff, hunting stuff, long sleeve shirts, hoodies, t-shirts. Still working on hats. I don't have a huge selection of hats that I like yet. So yeah, now we can go into the intro now that we did the shameless plug. Wasn't so bad. That wasn't so bad.
I came from the mud. There's dirt on my hands. Strong like a tree. There's roots where I stand. Try to catch me howling at the moon.
So part 2 already. He has been drying for about a week and, I don't know, a week and a few days now. Normally I would have this pinning off by now, but I've been wanting to wait till I could film it. Been trying to finish that buck back here. My cousin Toby's buck. I'll do some close-ups while I talk about him right now. He shot that with one of his other cousins this past fall. Wanted me to do it. And I'm really happy with how he came out. Did a lot of the muscle structure in the neck. I added some wrinkles in his like up on top of his neck and shoulder, as if he was turning and wrinkling up. Added a little bit muscle detail in the shoulder, and then kind of got my painting down a little bit better. So still working on the painting. That's still probably my biggest hurdle right now, is that getting the colors that I like right. So I'm gonna set this into on the tripod and then set it as a time lapse and just pull all of the pins, comb them out, and then we will regroup after this. Okay, I'm gonna give you a different perspective. I know you're far away from me, so the audio is terrible, but I'll zoom in a little bit on this side of the thing. There, he is all unpinned. As you can tell, he looks kind of matted and nasty right now. We're gonna clean him up and get him start to brush out. He'll shed some fur and stuff like that throughout this process, but the best thing to use that I found, just a regular hairbrush. I don't know what style of hairbrush this is, but anything that's matted over time will start to relax and come back out. So it may look gross and nasty right now, but over the next couple days I'll just do this every so often, and he'll relax back out and start to look all fluffy and normal. So next thing I'm going to do is go in all this dried up clay in the eyes. I'm going to just get a little wooden stick basically and start cleaning that up a little bit, get it ready for epoxy once it's drying for another week or so. So, in a nutshell, there he is. Next step is going to be two-part epoxy around the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And we'll do that in a week my time and about a second your time. The next part that I do is actually a couple different parts. The first part I'm going to do is this two-part epoxy sculpt. So we're gonna kind of roll that up. You gotta mix it with a hardening agent and the regular molding compound. And I try to basically do the same amount. So if I take a pinch full, I'll take a pinch full of the other one. And then I will go in and add a bunch of detail into the nose and around the eyes with Mod Podge. I'll show you guys how I like to. I've tried a couple different things, and I'll show you my favorite way to apply this to a deer mount. There's a bunch of little detail stuff I like to do, so I'll show you guys that in a minute. The only other thing that I do before I get going here and forget about it is I'll take this material. This is just a thin black plastic, I don't even know what to call it. I get it from work, we throw it away, so I've utilized it in that aspect, but it just basically cradles some 275 oil tanks that we get at work. And so I take those home and I cut out, there's a little, I don't know what to call it exactly, but I'll put the name up here on the bottom. Basically it goes around the eye. It's basically like your tear duct that's in the corner of your eye. Basically the same thing, but it's a really, holy cow, I can't hang on to it. It's a really dark brown to black, small little piece that goes in the corner of the eye. When I'm adding in the two-part epoxy into this eye, I'll add these in at this point as well. I know you guys are zoomed in on the eye, but this is the two parts of that epoxy. Again, I just try to get somewhat even amount. You just mix it until it's a solid color. That's all you're gonna do. So basically, my goal with this and what I'm doing is in here on the tear duct, I'm filling that. Any little pinholes I might have, I'll fill those. And then I'm just trying to set this crease that's in here, all this kind of void. I'm just trying to fill that and make it kind of look even and neat. Okay, so once I kind of get it built in and around the eye like this, I'll come in. This is become my favorite tool. It's got a nice little point on it, and I'll just go in and kind of start out like this and just try to kind of get the majority of it taken out. This isn't something that you want a ton of stuff in. This is just kind of little small detail finish type work. And then I'll go in kind of like this and really get up and around. You see it peeling out. But what you might not be able to tell is it's just super clean and finished. It's all filled in. It's just a finished piece of work, honestly. So I guess I wasn't recording. So I got this one going in. It's actually going in harder than normal, which is weird. But look at a reference photo, and I believe that top needs to go in more. Always be looking at reference photos when you do this. I have a bunch of them saved on my phone. Yeah, that top goes in more than the bottom. I'm trying to hold this here. Just like that. How's that look? Pretty good? Pretty real? Still see a little bit of white in the eye. So then I'll just kind of come back in with this. Fill in. What I, not necessarily damaged, but what I took out. Same within here. And then I'll take some water and a little brush and just get the brush damp. I don't want it wet. And I'll just kind of come in and try to smooth all that out. Not worried about cleaning the eye right now. Just want to get everything kind of uniform looking. Same thing with down in that tear duct. There. And that's step one, well, step a lot of a finish process of an eye. That didn't make any sense. Eyes are done. Next area I'm going to work on is the seam in and around the mouth. Again, filling in any cracks and pinholes I may have, and just putting a little bit of, make sure I don't put this out of view for you guys. Any little cracks and crevices and pinholes and all that stuff, try to fill that in. I know I'm blocking this, but I don't know how else to do it. Basically just going in and pushing that epoxy into his mouth crease. So, like we talked about earlier, Mod Podge is my favorite applicator that I found so far. I tried like a needle as well before, and I don't have the control that I do with this little tip here. So we're gonna get zoomed in. First thing I'm gonna do is add some drops around the eye, just to add some of that texture back into that bottom eyelid, and then we'll jump right into the nose. One of the nice things is it goes on white and will dry clear, so you can at least see where you're applying it. I like to add a little bit of texture into that bottom lip, but not a ton. And then a lot of guys will just go in and kind of sporadically put it. I actually like to try to follow the actual bumps and spots that are already available on the deer itself, and then in areas like this where it's just kind of blank skin, I just kind of ad-lib a little bit. Okay, now we gotta let all of the Mod Podge dry, that 2-part epoxy dry, and then next time you see me, we're gonna be painting them, finishing them. So thanks for staying tuned, guys. I hope you're finding this interesting so far. If you haven't watched part 1 where we actually put them together, head back to part 1. If not, right here in a second, we're gonna be painting. So we're finally going to finish them today. How's that sound? You guys are probably ready to be finished with this deer mount. I'm ready to be finished with this deer mount. This is, with the adding of filming, by far taking way longer than it normally would. I would have him done by now and on a wall. So I did do some stuff off camera, and I apologize. I painted the inside of the nose pink just because that takes multiple layers over a couple days. So I wanted to just get that done. I'm going to do a lot of different stuff with this deer today that I've never done before. He was blind. If you guys are seeing the footage or pictures that I'm putting up right now, and even when I shot him, he had a hazy, his right eye, this eye, was hazy. And then again, it's a wall pedestal. Never done that before. I actually already did the wall pedestal fabric part of this off camera because again, I just wanted to get the ball rolling and get some stuff done. And then instead of hiding, this deer's got scars all over him. Instead of hiding those and making them just kind of blend back into his body, I was looking at him out the other day online and they highlighted him and made him kind of bloody and gross and all that stuff again, and figured out how they did that. So I'm going to show you guys that. I'm not going to get into like super crazy detail with the whole painting and stuff like that. I'm going to show you an eye, and then I'm going to do the other eye off camera. I'm going to start the nose and then probably do the majority of that off camera, just to try to speed this video up. So again, the back of it, I don't know if I'll be able to show you or not. So I already did this wall pedestal part of it, and all I basically did was cut out a template, I guess, out of like cardboard pretty much, I guess, needless to say, and then made a template out of this and then cut the fabric out of it. I was gonna go with black fabric, but I thought the brown and the red would contrast nicer, so I went with red. This particular wall pedestal, you don't really get to see this too much, so it's not gonna show like a one that would be more tilted would show. So went with the red. It's my favorite color. I like that nice cherry red. And then I just did some twine, some jute around the edges, just in that seam, just to keep it clean. And yeah, it's pretty basic, honestly. Cut the fabric out, stapled it to this edge, sprayed the material and the form with spray adhesive, and then just laid it back over and pushed it out. And yeah, it was actually easier than I thought it was going to be, but I did it off camera because I didn't know anything about it and I just wanted to get it done because it was stressing me out. So here's an example of one of the many scars that this deer has on him. You can tell he was nicked at some point in time. He's got these kind of scars all over him, honestly. So didn't know how people highlighted him in the past. I just watched not a video, but I read a blog about some girl that did it, and she actually only uses these Sharpies, which I never even would have crossed my mind for this. So we're going to go in first, add the red in and around here, and then we're going to go in with the brown after to make it look like it's dried blood. Okay, red's all filled in. And I can go in with the brown. Just let that kind of... try to do it so you guys can see. I want to eliminate all of the red. But there, now it looks more like a wound on them. I don't know if what I should do up in here, to be honest with you, but that at least looks like a wound now instead of just a scar. And unfortunately it's covered up in most of these areas, but just want to give you guys a demonstration that that's how you can do that. And then we got one more step after that's done. So now all I'm going to do is come in with a clear coat. This is a semi-gloss clear coat, and just add it to that to make it look wet. You can bleed out into here if you want, make it look irritated. I'm probably blocking the whole thing, sorry guys. This is hard to do. Actually works good as kind of bleeding it out into those areas I was talking about, not sure how to do them. I guess that's how you do them. There. Now he's got an open gash on his neck. It's pretty cool. I actually kind of dig it, not gonna lie. I know it's probably, some people want it clean and pristine and all that, but he ruled the roost on my property, and he fought for every inch of that place, and I'm going to highlight all those little battles, even if they are hidden. Okay, so for the first layer of eye, I'm just going to use a really light chocolate brown. and just kind of go over everything with it as a base coat. But before we do that, since I've done that scar on this side, I want to cover that up. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. I just don't want to be painting over the scar that I just made. I'm also going to use that same light brown to just go in and around the nose, and I'll wipe it off the hair eventually, but I just want to kind of create a little bit of, just the skin tone color underneath the nose. Okay, part 2 of the eye is I actually add my light colors on first, so I'm just going to come in right here. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of a peachy brown into this crease right here. Okay, just like that, and it's okay to blend it up into it because that's just going to be kind of a highlight once I come in with a little bit different shade of brown to highlight in and around the eye. Okay, next what I'm going to do is come in with a little bit darker of a chocolate brown, almost a little bit of gray to it as well, and just kind of hit some of these highlights, just try to blend this in a little bit better. Okay, the last paint color I'm going to use on the eye is basically almost going to be spraying more on, let's get a pointer here. I'm going to be spraying almost more on the eye itself and just letting it bleed up into this liner right around here and right on the bottom. And I'm going to try to get it to just touch into here and into here. And it's almost a black, a really dark chocolate brown, basically is what it is. I'm going to have to get in the way for a second to do this part. Okay, that really, as you can tell, really highlights. I got it a little bit waterier than I wanted, but it really highlights that ring around the eye. Okay, last little piece to painting the eye. There is this little piece that you saw me add in just a minute ago, probably a couple minutes ago now, I guess. I got to paint that black, and then I'll add, clear gloss to it to make it look wet and shiny. But right now we're going to paint that. I'll put that on the screen. I'm terrible with remembering what the names of things are, so I will put that on the screen. I might reposition just a hair. I'm using straight black. Common theme with this is usually not using a solid color, but with this it is actually black, so that's what we're going to use. If you guys are wondering through this process what type of paints that I use, it's actually just Jonah's Supply Company custom paints. They're acrylic, I believe. No, latex, sorry. Latex paint. I can mix it with water to thin it out if I want to, which I do most of the time. But now while we're doing the drying part of the deer, you can get this on, I don't know, you can get it through Mackenzie and all those kind of guys. They all have access to it. It's all kind of the same company now anyway. I believe Mackenzie's just owns everybody. But basically all I'm going to do, this is actually called deer ear, so they make it pretty simple. Again, being a guy that likes to mix colors, I throw a little bit of gray in there, just take some of that pink out of it a little bit. And we're just going to brush the ears while the eyes finish drying. I always prefer to do, especially on the ears where I'm adding layers to it, not necessarily in colors, but just in the depth of it in general. I like to do just really light, multiple light stages versus just globbing it in there. Just cleaner looking, I think. Okay, I should be pretty well dry at this point, so we're just going to start taking off the paint. And that there would normally be a finished eye for me, but again, this was his blind side eye. So here's what we're gonna do next. And honestly, I should have done this prior to putting the eye in. I think I should have done this before, but we're gonna try it now. So what I got for a mix now is actually just white paint with a little bit of gray. And I'm gonna just barely get any paint on the brush, and I'm gonna paint that over the eye. Just to create a cloud. That's about all I'm gonna use over the whole eye. Okay. That just gives it a cloudy haze. Let that dry for a minute and I'll probably do a second coat over it. Okay, cloud it over. Now we gotta seal it. And I'm gonna use a clear coat spray to seal it, which is actually going to, I'm gonna have to get it over everything kinda. So if you look at the bottom of any eye, there's almost always a wet, I don't know, kind of just glob of your tears, I guess, for lack of better terms, at the very bottom of the eye. So we're going to go in and add that with this, which is going to dry. It's going to go on white, but it will dry clear. Mod Podge, same stuff we've been using. So now that the eyes are finished and drying, that piece of Mod Podge is finished and drying. Once that's clear and completely dry, we'll go in and add the final wet, moisture looking details to it. But now we can finally move on and get the nose and the melt done. First coat I'm gonna do is in actually what they call bear melt, but I like it for deer as well. Just that kind of a pink tone that goes on the inside. We're gonna do most, if not all of the nose in it in a real light coat, and then just the seam of the mouth in it as well. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the final paint job on the nose. Fun fact about a deer's nose that some people may not know, their nose, not really black. It's like a super dark brown, but it's actually not black. Black works, looks good, it's fine, but I mixed my black paint with a little bit of brown. And we're just gonna go in and cover her up. So the main reason that I came in with the pink first is this part right here. I like to really do a gradient from that kind of lighter pink tone into the black right here. So we'll see if I can hopefully show you. See how that part of the lips, you might not be able to tell, but still a little bit pink. I like that. again, with basically all of this, everything dries pretty quick. So I just got the paint off the ears, and now I'm going to go in and get the paint off of the mouth and around the nose. Now we're doing cleanup work. We're just about there, guys. Bear with us. Final step with the nose. Some people like to hold on. Some people like to spray the nose with a sealant. I'm just going to paintbrush it on. Have a little bit more control that way. So the last step for me is the eye, this part of the eye. And you want to add moisture into this. So I'm going in with a clear coat and just globbing it in down in the bottom, bows in here, making everything wiggly. So just globbing it in, globbing it around his tear duct. I'll run it up into his gland. And just up into this crease. My little finishing touch I like to do on the whiskers is I'll go in with whatever I have left of the clear coat and add some dew droplets to it. As if it's a cold morning. Well, that is the end of the high 6 build. Thanks for watching, guys. I know it's probably another long video just like the last one was, but there's a lot of little details that go into your deer mount. Hopefully that, now you guys see why it can take up to 2 years to get one of these back if the guy's spending this much detail on each individual deer and he's doing 200 deer a year. He's got his work cut out for him. So hope you guys liked it. I did some cool things that I don't know, like the eye, for example. I don't know how well that's going to hold up over time, but we'll find out. It's fun, and I'm glad I can experiment on one of my own deer versus a potential client's deer. So yeah, unfortunately it's raining, so I can't go get like final pictures right now, but we'll just let them dry here for the rest of the day and then throw them on the wall. Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one.
When I was a kid, my dad used to say, don't let anything stand in your way. Stand tall, think clear. Don't let them see